What is up, everyone, and welcome to the Random Encounter Podcast, episode 125. I'm your host, James, and I'm joined by the great ace attorney, Mr. Ash Destroyum.
Yo, what up, guys?
And today we got, Bryant and Fan should be joining us later on. They are tied up, but they will definitely be joining us today. But we got quite a bit to talk about. We're going to talk about a lot about the Nintendo Switch 2. As of course, we did do the live streaming that was revealed earlier this week on Wednesday. But after the reveal, which we did talk a little bit about it after the reveal, a lot of information has been coming out, including today. There was one other set of information that came out, which is very, very sad news, but that's something we will talk about a little bit later on today. But before we get started, as always, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Follow over on Twitch as well. And
Are we live?
we
Yeah,
are
we're live.
live, yes. And what we're going to start off with today is talking about Final Fantasy 9. Final Fantasy 9's anniversary is happening right now, and it's a special game. It's a game that honestly is probably one of my favorite Final Fantasies for many reasons. I know me and Ash were talking about it before we started the podcast, and we were going ahead and just, he was telling me about how he's never played it, but it was a game that I played, and I remember when I played it first, I was at a friend's house, and he was going ahead and, he was like, "Oh man, you gotta really try out this game. This game's amazing." At the time, the only other Final Fantasy I played was 7. So I was like, "Okay, let me give this a try." And playing through it, I was like, "Wow, this is dumb. Why? I don't want to play as a kid. Like these are little kids, because of the art style, made everybody look kind of not chibi, but kind of." And I just wasn't a fan of that at first. But I went ahead and decided to go ahead and give it a try. My youngest brother's godfather went and gave it to my younger brother. So not my youngest brother, but my younger brother for his birthday gift. So he got it in. And I was like, "Oh man, like I want to play Final Fantasy 9. You don't even like Final Fantasy." But me and him took turns playing it, and man, I fell in love. I was completely wrong about it. Gave it a try. I fell in love with it. I can't tell you how many hours I did of doing Tetra Master, which was the equivalent to what was the Final Fantasy 8 card game? I forgot.
Oh crap! I know what game you're talking about, but I forgot.
Yeah, but it's the equivalent to whatever the card game in Final Fantasy 8 was.
Yeah.
I can't believe I completely forgot what the name of that is. But yeah, I went ahead and played that a lot, and I liked it. Different rules than the one in Final Fantasy 8, but nonetheless was fun. The cast was great. Just a lot of memorable moments. Like the opening in the forest is a very memorable moment. Till this day, sticks with me, and I'll never forget. I was like, man, I really want to say blank. I want to say blank. I want to say blank, and of course, something happens later on. Yeah, which is kind of cool. But a lot of things about it was great. You had basically Super Saiyan 4 Daima version before Super Saiyan 4 Daima came out, which was basically Zidane turning into, you had like the fur comes out on him, and he has the same, like, I don't know what we call it, red or pink color that Super Saiyan 4 Daima had. So that was kind of cool. And yeah, like it was a great game nonetheless. I own it right now on PC. There is a mod to make everything 4K, but not only that, they expand everything to widescreen too. Not everything's done, but they redid some of the art and kind of like expanded it so it looks great in widescreen. Not every zone is like that, but nonetheless, the textures are great. They remastered the music. No offense to like the people who remastered the music. I just wasn't a fan of how it sounded with the remastered soundtrack. I prefer just the OG PS1 soundtrack. It's just, I don't know, very nostalgic when it comes to that. But yeah, like great game, great game. Welcome fan. We were just talking about Final Fantasy 9. Have you played Final Fantasy 9?
Oh man, it's a long time ago.
Long time ago? Yeah, what was your
Yeah.
first experience playing it? Like, where were you when you first played it?
Um, I mean, it kind of like because the main character is basically like a Saiyan, kind of, because he had the tail and he can kind of like become like a monkey, like a. So it was like during that time, like that time period, like Dragon Ball Z was a big thing, and then I was still playing JRPGs because I was just coming off of Final Fantasy 8, so like it was just kind of a nice mesh between the two.
You see, and you heard
Oh, what's
that.
up?
You heard that there, like, that was it's funny, I'm laughing because right before you came in, I was just talking about how he turns, like, Super Saiyan 4 Daima,
Oh,
versus yeah, before that actually
Yeah.
happened, so it's like, that was the main thing that I remember because I remember his transformation, like, "Oh, it's Super Saiyan 4, like, this is awesome." But yeah, like you mentioned, like, Dragon Ball Z was huge at that time when it came out, it released 2000, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think?
yeah, I
Yeah, I
think
think it
so.
was 2000 when it came out. Yeah, because it's 25-year anniversary right now. So yeah, 2000. Um, yeah, great game, great game. You got to try it on, Ash. Like whenever you get
Oh
a
yeah,
chance, definitely pick
no,
it up.
I'm already sold on getting the game because, like I said before, I was watching a YouTuber or an OG YouTuber that's been
Yeah.
doing reviews since the beginning of YouTube named Some Call Me Johnny, and
Hmm.
he did extremely well done review of Final Fantasy 9. If anything, I'm gonna send you that link of it so that way you can enjoy it yourself,
Yeah.
especially you've already played it. Man, it's just mine is the spoiler stuff that he talked about because he was so nice enough to provide a timestamp to skip all the story spoilers
Hmm.
and straight into the combat and exploration. And I was just like enamored about on what this game had and stuff compared
Yeah.
to other Final Fantasy. So I'm definitely going to be giving that a shot later on.
Hmm.
It's just when
Yeah.
which is the real question. So
Yeah. What about
bless you.
you, Brian? When was the first time you played Final Fantasy 9? Like, what's your first memory of you playing Final Fantasy 9?
First of all, I can't believe you couldn't remember the name Triple Triad. That just blows
Oh, it
my
was
mind. I was
Triple Triad.
screaming.
Oh man.
Yeah, I had to step away from the mic for a moment to get my setup all set up because I was a
Yeah.
little late coming to the podcast today,
Because
and
I
I
liked,
went
I don't know,
upstairs for a minute.
I like Tetra Master a little bit better. Like it was a
I like
little bit
Tetra
different.
Master's too complicated for me.
Yeah, and I think the other reason why I remember like Tetra Master stuck with me is in Final Fantasy 11, right? So like they Square Enix had this whole online portal because I was a huge Final Fantasy 11 like they're like
Play online portal.
yeah. So they had to play online portal and then you could play Final Fantasy 11 or Tetra Master. And a lot of times when they were doing maintenance on Final Fantasy 11, I would just play Tetra Master there, which was kind of cool. But yeah, go ahead.
Um, Yeah, you're right. By the way, it did come out in 2000. It was a late PS1 game.
Hmm.
Like it came out it came out the same year as the PS2 actually, because the PS2 came out in America in 2000 in October of 2000, and so it probably was right around there.
Hmm.
But I remember getting at launch. I want to say I read a review in EGM that gave it like gold, like because I don't know if anybody here ever read EGM, but they had like
Hmm.
silver, gold, and platinum rewards, and Final Fantasy 9 got a gold, and they were just kind of talking about how it harkened back to Final Fantasies of old.
Hmm.
Like your sixes and your fives and stuff, as opposed to kind of the dystopic hellscape that 7 and 8 were. Less so 8, like it was more like steampunk esque
Yeah.
kind of stuff, but like they weren't like there weren't the whims there was no whimsy in 7 or 8 at all. Pretty much, it was mostly just very dark and adult and mature, and teenagers being used as like a private military corporation, and mercenaries trying to save the planet from Shinra, and just lots of
Hmm.
really dark themes. And then you get 9, and nine has some dark themes to it, like the
Yeah.
existential stuff with Vivi,
Yeah.
the depression, the lonely. You're not alone with Zidane, Garnet wanting to not to follow in the footsteps of being a princess, realizing that her mom is out of her mind.
Hmm.
Steiner having like inferiority complex. Freya has her own tragedy with her backstory.
Hmm.
Um, so just all of these stories are they do have like some adult themes, and they're definitely very impactful, but
Yeah.
it's all wrapped with this wrapper of just like beautiful whimsical music, and
Hmm.
the locations are amazing, like Alexandria Castle and
Hmm.
Limblom. And when you get
I love Lindblom.
When you
The
get
music there.
Queena. Oh, yeah, oh my god, the music is so great. It might be like that, and 16 might be my favorite. Excuse me, my favorite soundtracks for Final Fantasy.
Hmm.
You have Queena, and she's really funny. He, she. I'm not sure what the what
Oh,
Queena is, but
Queena, yeah.
um, yeah, I think it's a she.
Yeah.
Um, And then you have Vivi, and in Vivi, there's some real dark existential
Mhm.
stuff with Vivi, and that character design is iconic. It's as iconic as any other Final Fantasy character is. Like I would say he might be like the most iconic Final Fantasy character from a looks perspective alone.
Yeah.
Definitely in the top three, like easily. And he's a very likable character. Zidane's a likable character, unlike Squall and Cloud. Like Zidane's actually kind of funny. Like he's kind of
Yeah.
a hot shot, and he's kind of funny.
Different type of
And it was just kind
protagonist.
of yeah, because Squall and Cloud are kind of alike in
Yeah.
that they're kind of like moody,
Mhm.
like serious people, and Zidane's just like flirting with Garnet and talking about all the girls he gets and stuff, and that
Yeah.
was just kind of refreshing after Cloud and Squall.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really, really, really special game, and if you're a Final Fantasy fan and you haven't played Final Fantasy 9 yet, like what do you like? You got to like it's probably my second or third favorite.
Yeah.
Can't recommend it enough.
Yeah. No, I agree with you when it comes to that. Like, nine is definitely up there with my favorites. Like, I mean, almost every Final Fantasy game is good. It's kind of hard to say. I go back to 10 be my favorite because I
But
like
9
10.
is so good.
Nine is so good. Like the story beats it takes you. The ride it takes you. Like people we always talk about rides of stories being a ride, but this is literally the roller coaster ride because you got highs and you got really low. And like you said, like in the beginning, you're like, man, I can't take these characters serious. But then as you progress, you're like, oh wow, like it's pretty dark in the back end of it. What's her name? The other summoner girl, what's her name? I forgot her name.
Oh,
Like is that like
she
Aiko
has
or
blue
something like
hair.
that?
Let me
Yeah,
look
is
it
that
up.
EIKO, I think it is.
EIZ
Yeah.
something.
Oh yeah, is yeah. Her I don't remember
Eco.
Eco,
EIKO.
yeah.
Eco.
I don't remember Red's story. Like I forgot about him. I just know I had him in my party because he was cool.
Yeah.
But I forgot what his story. But yeah, there's a lot of like crazy things that went on in that game. And
His
just
name
the
is
summons
Amarant.
too. Or that was what it is? Okay, maybe I named him Red. Or does he
Yeah. Well, he
appear?
has like red hair and stuff.
Yeah, I probably named him Red, and that's what I remember him as. Um, but yeah, like overall, it was great. The way you get a lot of the summons too, and how they appear as part of the story, and then the cutscenes is also really cool. Like I really enjoy how they did that. And the final boss was different from 7 and 8 at the time, because at that time 7 and 8 were the only Final Fantasies I played. So it was a little bit different, a little bit unexpected. Versus 7, you're like, all right, Sephiroth is the main villain. 8, eh, like how can I put it? It was expected, like who was the main villain, even though like you didn't really physically see her until like later on. But it was kind of expected. Where this is just like you don't know who the final boss is. You think you know who the final boss is, and then there's a boss right after that boss. You're like, oh, okay, this is the final boss. I guess the closest you got to
Who
that was
would
like
you
Final Fantasy
say?
5. Hmm.
Let me ask you a question. Who would you say like the iconic Final Fantasy bosses?
Hmm.
Kefka, easily. Sephiroth.
Yeah,
And that's kind of it. Like, I don't think Sin is particularly compelling. Like, Jet, Sin,
yeah.
whatever. In 12, I didn't beat 12, so I don't know if 12 is an
Uh,
iconic boss. As much as I love 13, 13 doesn't have an iconic boss. Like, I'll just
yeah,
be totally honest. 15, not really. That guy, Arden or whatever, not really. And then 16, what's his name? Ultima.
yeah,
Um, yeah, kinda, I guess, but I would say Kefka and Sephiroth easily iconic,
yeah.
super important villains. I haven't played, 1, 2, 3, 4,
Hmm.
or 5, so I don't know if you can tell me if those have
One,
iconic boss.
yeah, one is Chaos. So
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So one is technically iconic, but not really. I mean, Golbez is more iconic than or not Golbez. I'm sorry, that's Golbez is from 4. Garland. Garland's more iconic than Chaos, technically,
Who's
in my
Garland
opinion.
from?
Final Fantasy 1.
Yeah, Final
Oh,
Final
1.
Fantasy
Okay.
1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the guy with the knight. Like, if you ever played Dissidia, he's always the main guy who's fighting like the Warrior of Light.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
2's final boss is the Emperor. Not really iconic, I would say. 3's final boss is the Cloud of Darkness. Again, not really iconic.
Not iconic, no.
4 is it was 4 X Def, right? Or is that 5? You remember?
I
I
like your
think
shirt,
forgot
Fan, by
you.
the way. Very
Thanks. I mean, we're
thematically
talking about Final
appropriate.
Fantasy, so it kind of like
yeah.
just works out.
I think 4 is X Def, but I might mix that up with 5. Yeah, because I think 4 is X Def and 5 is Zodiark. Am I mixing that up? It's one of the two between the two. I don't remember which is which. But it's it might be or X Def might be in 5 actually too. I don't know. It's one of those guys. I forgot. But like again, 4 really the main iconic bad guy is shoot, what is his name? Oh, Gomez. I was just saying. Gomez, which is not really the main bad guy. So yeah, Sephiroth for sure. But I think Sephiroth is iconic because he's the main villain from the beginning to the end. Kefka's the same thing, the main
Yes,
villain from beginning to end.
that's
So it's
true.
like
That's true.
that's why where most of the other Final Fantasies, you don't know who the villain is until the end. Minus 2, because you know the Emperor's the bad guy. So you're like in the beginning it sets it up. The Emperor's, raging this war. You're basically like orphans running away and you're, going ahead and fight
And
back.
9 it switches, kinda.
Yeah, nine goes back almost to the original, except that the main bad guy who you think it is not really the main bad guy. Like the final boss
Right.
is somebody different. So it switches a little bit. 10 is kind of like falls in the same boat too. Like you think like Seymour is the main bad guy when it's not.
Right.
Because you fight him multiple times, but then it switches up towards the end. Or you think Sin is the main bad guy, and then you find out what it really is. So
Right.
a lot of that, a lot of this mixed up. And I think 12's main villain is the brother. I forgot his name. Starts with a V. Vane, I think his name is. Yeah, he was kind of underwhelming, I would say, as a final boss. I remember when I beat him, I was like, oh, that's it. Like nothing, no transformation, no like, mega like boss style thing. Yeah, he was underwhelming. I would agree with you. Arden is okay, but he's
Yeah.
not
Not
like,
iconic, though.
yeah. I think he could have been written better for sure. The voice actor's cool though. I thought he did a really good job.
Yeah, I agree with that. Good performance.
In what was it?
16 is
14,
Ultima.
16 is Ultima. I feel like we're missing a game. Oh yeah, 13. Who is 13's final boss?
Man, Ultima was not a good final boss for 15.
I thought he was okay. It wasn't
Yeah.
iconic, certainly, but he was fine. Before, what'd you
I
say?
thought it was a cop out.
13.
13?
Does it
It
start
was
with like
like
a B?
Bartholomew or
Yeah.
something. Yeah,
Yeah, some
it was
weird
whatever.
thing. Yeah, 13 was kind of, that's 13.
That's the only thing you're gonna get me to say bad about 13 is yes, there's no iconic main villain. That is true.
Mhm.
Yes, there's some lore dumps. Yes, there's some exposition. Yes, some of the dialogue maybe a little hammy, but the music, the combat
Music's
system,
sick, yeah.
the aesthetic.
Bro, I just don't like Hope. He ruined the game. I'm sorry.
Yeah, again, there's some hammy stuff. Like that's fine, but Lightning
mind
alone,
Hope.
I love Lightning.
Yeah, I love
I like
too.
Lightning because she is like the first protagonist, maybe since like Final Fantasy 1, because it was so technologically like not feasible to make it, where the main character didn't have a love story, especially if she was a female without a love
Yeah.
story too. Like she had no interest in anybody; she just wanted to save her sister, and I think that's rad because
Yeah, 2 didn't
you
have
have
a love
7.
story either.
What'd you say?
2 didn't have a love story either.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, the technology really wasn't there yet, but like 6 had a love story, kinda. 7 did, 8 did, 9 did, 10 did, 12 I think did, and 13 did too, but it was Snow and Sarah, and that's
Yeah,
pretty much,
actually,
and I
you're
guess
right.
to a lesser
12
extent,
didn't
even
have a
Neil
love
and Fang.
story. I mean,
Okay,
technically speaking, Vaughn and
Penella,
Penello, yeah, technically done, but they weren't really like the main cast. Like a lot of people like to say, yeah,
right?
Vaughn's the main character because that's who you play as. But technically
Not really,
speaking, he's not. It's really
right?
Ash, right? She's the one that you're following through, and it's really her story with Balthier and Bosch being like the main 2 side heroes, I guess you can say. Um, I like to argue that, to an extent, Bosch might be even the main character because you start off with him and you kind of see things, because then the next main story beat you get is rescuing him, and you kind of see things through that way. But like, really, what I liked about 12, and a lot of people hate it, but I like about it is you're kind of like from the outside in, like you're the outsider
Mhm.
seeing these guys do stuff, and you're just tagging along because you just don't want to be where you were. And I kind of like that story because like really the main characters, the majority of the voice dialogue is Balthier, Bosch, and Ash. Like all three of them really just talking nonstop, and Fran as well. Um, but yeah, that's me. But yeah, I agree. Like a lot of them didn't have love stories. 10 was really a
Did
love story.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
9 too was really heavily love
Yep.
story. Um, I guess 8 as
Eight's theme
well.
was love.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely, this main theme was
Yeah,
love. It's Squall embracing Renault.
or not.
100%. That's a love
Yeah.
story.
I mean, yeah, I guess it starts off that way because I'm thinking like since the beginning, but yeah, it does. 7, yeah, I mean, you have the technically love triangle, right?
Triangle. Yep.
What else? 11, 12, see, 13. Yeah, you're right. 13. Well,
Yep.
technically
Snow
it's
and
Snow, Sarah.
Sarah.
Yeah.
Yep.
14, skip. 15
15,
is, of
15's
course,
so weak between Luna Freya and
yeah,
Noctis. It's so weak, but it's
yeah,
there technically.
yep. And then 16, of course, Jill and what's his name?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Jill and Clive, fantastic
Mhm.
love story. Not gonna. Nah, even Ash agrees with me. Thank you.
There are some gripes with it, obviously. I do have, but
Mhm.
we'll save
You were
it
good.
for
You were good
another
with
time.
you were good with the symbol. That was fine. That just, okay.
Yeah, let's start right there. put a pin in
man.
it.
Right.
But yeah, Final Fantasy 9, definitely, if you haven't played it already, I highly recommend it. It is definitely one of the, all the Final Fantasy are really good and they're all well worth playing. But 9 is probably, the peak and the last of
It's
Sakaguchi's
S tier.
game. So, he went out with a bang and rightfully so, and I think Zidane is so iconic that he was in Fantasian, technically, right? Not really him, but the character that's in Fantasia, I forgot what his name is literally Zidane. He has the same weapon. He's a thief. He has all these makeshift abilities and stuff like that. It's like it's Zidane. Like his hairstyle is the same. Like he has the long hair with the ponytail and stuff like that. He's a younger kid, so yeah, can't argue with that. He's pretty cool. And now that his weapons were cool. This was like the first
The
Final
daggers.
Fantasy that I could think of. Yeah, he had the daggers, and then you can get it where they're like put together, and he
Oh,
has
cool.
that. Yeah, I always like that in what's
Like
it called?
Darth Maul.
Yeah, like kind of like Dark Maul. It was always cool. I always like
Kind of.
that. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the Nintendo Switch 2 and everything around that.
So
Very
much has happened
interesting.
since our stream, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I want to
Like
talk about.
a lot
So
of new news.
we're gonna start with the bad news that got announced today. Pre-orders originally were gonna start Wednesday, April 9th, right? I believe it is. Whatever next Wednesday
Yep.
was gonna be. And now, as of right now, they're on hold for the US markets only because tariffs. We know the tariffs started yesterday. And since there's like a little bit of uncertainty when it comes to there, they put it on hold to see if they have to adjust or if something might come out of it. I'm hoping something changes and we can kind of, work things out and see. But it's weird. Like I was talking with Fan about this earlier, where a lot of companies figured like China was going to get a lot of tariffs because of this. I don't want to get political here, but like other companies figured like China was going to get the tariffs, so they switched to Vietnam as the assembler, and then next thing you know, you look at the tariff list, and Vietnam is what's getting
Vietnam's being
hit
tariffed.
the most. Yeah, or not the most, but it's up there pretty high, which
Like
is
number 3 on
affecting
the
the
list.
Nintendo Switch. Yeah, because Nintendo switched from assembling in China to now moving it to Vietnam, and that's really what's hurting that part. So be interesting to see like what happens from there. As of right now, Nintendo did announce that June 5th is still the scheduled release date as of now for the US. So hopefully they don't delay it here. But pre-orders will not start next week for the US. So as of right now, right? That can change tomorrow because things have been coming out little by little. So we'll definitely continue discussing that and see where it goes when it comes to that stuff. So not lots, but like really bad news there. But
Yeah, I'm just hoping they set
Mhm.
some aside. Like if the
Yeah,
pre-orders isn't going to start on the 9th, I just hope they allocate stock aside for the US
yeah,
when they do start pre-orders.
that's true.
Because if they don't, then like we're screwed. We're not going to be able to get our
Yeah.
hands on any day one.
So I do
Well,
like I do have like a follow-up thing to that. I want to save it for later because there's the Switch 2 itself have mixed reactions, right? It's funny because when we were talking about it, we thought the price was good. Like, price $450 for the console, $500 with the Mario bundle. Well, like, yeah, I think for all the upgrades it's getting, it's worth it. But the reception online is a little bit different. Like, it's very mixed. A lot of people are upset it is $450, which in my opinion, I'm like, they're comparing it to the Steam Deck. From what we could see, it looks like it might be more powerful than the Steam Deck. And
It
of course,
is.
you have the dock and everything like that. And it's like, for it to be more powerful at only $450, I think it's a good, it's a steal in my opinion.
Yeah, the
And
Steam
not
Deck's what, $399?
$399 for the cheapest model.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one you're comparing? Because I'm typically comparing it to the OLED Steam Deck.
Yeah.
If
I mean,
anything,
no,
if you because I know a good amount of people were complaining about the OLED screen not being there on the Switch 2,
Yeah.
but like that's why I always compare the Switch 2 to the Steam Deck OLED, because I think that one also has a slightly better battery.
Yeah.
Along with the OLED screen and stuff. And at that point, I still think the Switch 2 is still better than the Steam Deck OLED, regardless if the screen is not OLED or not on the Switch 2.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100% when it comes to that. And I think that's the thing. Like, there's a lot of misinformation. I always say this a lot. Don't jump into the hype. Before you take somebody's word, research it yourself, right? Don't just take somebody's word. There's a lot of people complaining like, oh, Nintendo's trying to sell you an $80 game digital and $90 game physical, but we've already confirmed that games, at least in the US, both physical and digital, are $80. I mean, mainly like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Switch Enhanced Edition, Mario Kart World, and I think Metroid Prime 4 was also $80. Those games were both physical and digital, $80. Where Europe is a little bit different. It's $80 digital and $90 or pounds, whatever they have, euros, I guess. Physical over there, and I think Canada also has that. But those are different markets. So yeah, it sucks that that's the case for over there. I'm curious to what's the reason behind that and why it's that way. At least in the US as of now, it's $80 both digital and physical. The other thing that's some misinformation out there is the game key card, which I almost thought the same thing. I had mentioned that because Bryant brought a post right after we ended the stream and showed the game key card. I was like, oh well, when I first read it real quick, I was like, oh well, rest in peace, physical games, because it's all digital games on the card. But only certain games are using the game key card rather than you have that paper where you would just download the game digitally. You have now the game key card, which is the actual key to playing the game, and that allows you to go ahead and play that game. Which, in my opinion, if it works the way I think it works, I think that's actually a better idea. Because, for example, let's say I buy what's a game that's only digital? Is Marvel vs. Capcom was not physical, right? Like it was a
No, it
card
had a
inside?
physical.
They did? Okay.
No, or I don't know if it had a cart, but there was a physical release from Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about
think there was
Scott
a card.
Pilgrim?
Scott Pilgrim was a digital code only?
Probably.
They had a limited run physical, but that was like a limited time thing. It wasn't like really permanent, if that makes sense. So I still count it as only count it as digital only. So you can go with that.
So we'll use that as an
Let's just say.
example. Yeah, and with that, fam, we're hearing like background noise from you.
Oh shoot.
Yeah. So yeah, when it comes to that, like I think it's a good example because like let's say Scott Pilgrim, we'll use that as an example. I buy like a physical game, but it's a digital game. If I want to let somebody borrow it, even though it's digital, I can give them that game key card, and they can go ahead and play it without me like it being stuck to my account. And honestly, in my opinion, I think it's good. In my opinion, I don't know how everybody else feels about it, but I think that's a cool alternative to just a code that gets added to your account and then you're kind of done, right? I have kids in the house, so like if I buy a game and it just happens to be only digital, so when you put in the game key card, it has to download it. I like to be able to go ahead and like here, you want to play Yoshi's Woolly World or something like that. You can go ahead and play that on your Switch. What do you guys think about that? The game key cart.
I'd like to go
isn't that
back to the
kinda like-
price. Are we going to talk about that?
Say it again.
I said, are we going to talk more about the price too?
Yeah, we will talk
Yeah,
about
of course.
the price, but I want to discuss the cart real quick.
First, the key card. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm a digital guy.
Mhm.
I've been a digital guy for probably almost 10 years. Like I haven't bought anything physical, period.
Mhm.
the key card, like I think you're kind of more on the money where eventually a physical is just going to go away. It just is. It's just the way of the world, and I don't understand really the half measure of like, okay, you're buying something that it has to connect to the internet and you have to download something from a server anyway. So like, why go through the trouble of getting something shipped to you, go to a store or whatever, when you're going to have to get you're going to have to get it downloaded from a server somewhere. So why go through the extra step of having like an actual key card? Like having an actual game, like I kind of understand that because then it doesn't rely on a server,
Yeah.
but like this key card, why even kind of go halfway, like just go all into digital? But I mean, if
I think it's so
you
you
and
could
other
share it.
digital, I beg your pardon.
It's so you could like give it to someone else.
Well, that's what Nintendo's doing with the
Virtual
the
key game,
virtual card thing,
whatever.
right?
Yeah,
So
but you could physically like sell that key card to them.
That's true. You can't
Like
sell
I
your
could sell the
digital
key card.
game,
You
but
can't
you
sell
s-
your digital game.
yeah.
but I think most physical players now, it's not a matter of being able to share games. I think more so it's a preservation thing. I would say that's
Yeah.
probably at least like 75% of people that buy physical, it's a preservation thing rather than a sharing thing, generally
Mhm.
speaking. So like you're right, like you're right, you can give it or sell it to somebody, that's true, but I just don't think that in 2025 that's the main argument that physical buyers are using to buy physical.
Yeah.
No, but I think that's like their compromise.
Yeah.
Like that's like Nintendo's compromise. Like we're not forcing you to go digital 100%. Like you still get some
not yet.
physical thing, but you know, and like someone made an argument about like PS5s and Xboxes and stuff like that. The discs that you install are essentially almost like a key card. Yes, it has data on it. Yes, you're installing it into the console, and you have to have the disc in the drive to play the game. You know, so it almost acts kind of like a key card in a way,
Mhm.
because you still have to download and install.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's true. Like we're at that point where unfortunately I fear the next consoles will all be digital, right? And granted, like a lot of us play PC games. We have ROG Ally X, Steam Deck, all that stuff, and all that's digital. So it's kind of hard for us to complain. But I do think that what we like about our consoles is the physical like medium for minus you, Brian. Like you use digital. But like me, I like collecting physical games. Like I have oh, they're packed up in a box somewhere back there, but I have like a bunch of Switch games. Like I forgot how many I counted. I think it's like over 50 games physically that I have, and that's not including all the digital ones I have. I have a bunch of Switch games that I have physically because I like the box art. I just kind of like how some of the Switch games have reversible covers, so you can see like different art and stuff like that. I always thought it was nice. Now, granted, physical games can be cumbersome because it's like you want to play a different game, you have to take out the card, put a new card in. You have to carry it around with you. You risk losing it, all that other stuff. But I do like the key card thing and the virtual card thing because it is kind of like a good compromise to where we're heading at in an all digital future. One thing that I didn't like about being digital is like it's kind of hard to really share games the way I would do a physical game. But Nintendo, I think, is kind of stepped ahead and it's like, here, this is how you can share games. You can let somebody borrow it digitally, and they have it for 14 days. And they thought ahead of like, what if this person never returns my game and I let them borrow it? Well, guess what? After 14 days, it goes back to you, which is kind of cool. So Final Fantasy 8 that I lent a long time ago and I never got back, that wouldn't have happened if a virtual cart was available. But that is a nice measure there. Um, let's step back to pricing. So, Nintendo Switch gets announced. Uh, or rather, we had the direct. No pricing was in the direct at all. We had to wait till after to find out the pricing and go on Nintendo's website where we saw Nintendo Switch 2 was $450, and then there is a bundle with Mario Kart World for $500. People were not happy about it. I think we all came to the conclusion that I think it's a great price, right? As of right now, 450 and 500. It's possible that could change in a couple weeks to it being $600 or something ridiculous. But as of right now, for $50 and $500, I thought was a great price. What do you guys think?
Um, I want to say the discourse that has been surrounding the Nintendo Switch 2 from a price perspective
Yeah.
and the games has been making me pull my hair out. You're right. We all kind of came to a consensus that the price point of the console itself was pretty decent. Like, if you want to be splitting hairs, I guess some people could say that it's a smidge too high, but like, at what point? I mean, like you were talking about before, and Ash was saying before, if we're going to compare it to its closest relative, which I guess would be the Steam Deck, they're right in the same ballpark. It's not like the Switch 2 yet is like $1,000 and the Steam Deck is like 400, 350. Like they're very apples to apples in that way. But the amount of whining, belly aching, crying, throwing temper tantrums on Nintendo's stream, demanding them to lower their
Drop the
prices
price.
makes me makes me embarrassed as somebody that's into gaming, that these
Yeah.
people are acting like such petulant children.
Mhm.
Because here's the problem. Here's why there's a problem with this thinking. Gaming is cheaper now than it's ever been in our lifetime. Period. Full stop. End of story. When we were kids, all of us, you wouldn't really be able to go into a store and get $30 games, $20 games. Like they'd be $20 or $30, but $20 or $30 in 97 is not $20 or $30 in 2025.
Yeah.
You look at let's not even go back to the 90s. Like let's talk about when the price changed, when games went from being $40 and $50 to $60, and that of course would be 2006 when the Xbox 360 came out.
Mhm.
When the Xbox 360 came out, that's when games went from 50 being the premium to 60 being the premium. I remember it very vividly, like Call of Duty 2, King Kong, all that kind of stuff. And if you go into an inflation calculator, you make the year 2006, the dollar amount's $59.99. You want to know how much that is in 2025 dollars? $94.95. That's how much it is for a game that was in 2006 in 2025. So it's more expensive than Mario Kart is. And guess what, guys? Game development has not gotten cheaper in 20 years. It has not gotten cheaper. It has gotten more expensive because of 4K and HD gaming and development. It takes years to make games now because the fidelity has to match the standards. And if you want to talk to me about how the price of living has gone up and the cost of wage stagnation in 20 years, like I'm with you 100%. I get it. Like the cost of living and stagnating wages, it's a problem. Like I wish you would keep up, but it's not Nintendo's fault that it hasn't. Like we can't lay this at Nintendo's feet. They have a fiduciary responsibility to make money for their investors, and if they want to charge $80 for Mario Kart, they can charge $80 for Mario Kart. If they want to charge $30 for this, $60 for that, it is their right. And I'm not one to defend companies. I'm not. Like I will say 100% if Nintendo or any company has bad business practices. I'm not like one of these guys with like ripping the shirt off and it has like a big a big N tattoo on my chest or something. Like I'll call a company out. Right, yeah, like you, but not a shirt, like actually tattooed. Like I will call a company out for shitty practices. So this isn't like if you see on Twitter sometimes there's memes of people that are like big fat dudes like crying saying like don't talk about Nintendo and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like no, you guys we're not being petulant children here. We're the ones that realize the reality of the world in 2025, the economic realities. Companies have to make money. And customers are paying for it. The Switch 2, regardless of the minuscule online complaining about the price, it's going to sell like crazy. I really hope that Nintendo's safeguards in place to prevent scalping and to make sure that everybody can get one are true, and that they're going to fulfill with as much demand, as much supply as the demand says. But this discourse, until this thing comes out about the pricing, it makes me nuts because it just lacks such a perspective of history and how the dollar isn't worth what it was 20 years ago, and you just can't compare it. You can't say, well, since 2006 games have been $60, and then in 2020 whatever it was, 2020, like Sony started coming out with an Xbox started coming out with $70 games, and that became the norm. And now Nintendo is saying we're going to do $80 games, and it's like, guys, use an inflation calculator. Like that's just how the value of money goes. And when Grand Theft Auto comes out, wouldn't be surprised it's $100. And you know what? It's gonna sell like crazy.
Yeah.
They're not gonna care that it's $100. It's gonna be a no doubt 10 out of 10 game. It's gonna be huge, and the amount of development, the cost of that thing when it's $1 billion. I bet it's $1 billion game easily to make that thing easily because it's gonna make billions in profit. Um, I just wish people would get real and understand how the world works, and it's not going to cater to the fact that you don't have the money to buy it or you don't want to pay. If you don't want to pay, more power to you. Show vote with your wallet or whatever, but don't go out and say that Nintendo is being greedy because they're not.
Yeah. Those are all valid points. Before I add to that, does anybody else have anything to add to it?
No, he makes a good argument. I mean, I was looking at I found like an article on IGN about like the cost of like consoles and stuff like that, and the Switch 2 isn't even Nintendo's most expensive console.
No,
If you add
it's right.
inflation.
It's right. It's pretty reasonable if you compare it to any other console they've ever released. It's
Wasn't
just
it like the N64 more expensive?
No, it's the NES.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the NES was $180 at launch back in 1985, and if you account for inflation, it's over $500 today.
right. And see, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I'm saying gaming is cheaper now than it ever has been. Never mind the sticker. The sticker is worthless. You have to go back all the way to when the dollar was worth more. And yeah, it's $60 in 2006. It's not the same as $60 in 2025. It's just not.
Yeah. What about you, Ash? Anything to add to it?
I'm listening to everyone's like responses, and I'll get my response later on.
Yeah. So I was just gonna add to it, like you hit it right on the money, Bryant, because it goes back to what I said, like, don't jump into something without realizing like all angles, right? You should never judge a decision by, something like that. And there's more to it too. Like they gotta pay their developers too, right? If you still are doing $60 games, your developers are gonna be underpaid but they're expected to do a lot more. And granted, there's a lot of companies that do that. They pay their employees less, but add more responsibility to them. In this case, I see Nintendo hopefully trying to look out for their developers and give raises. I think they gave a raise recently actually to a lot of their developers, if I'm not mistaken, sometime last year because of how good they were doing, which is a good thing. But it is expected for game prices to go up. Everything around us has gone up in the last 20 years, right? I usually 20 years or 19 years technically because we base it off the Xbox 360, but housing has gone up, food, groceries, all that stuff has gone up, gas has gone up, you name it, everything has gone up in pricing, but video games has stood the same price for almost 20 years. And it was, a matter of, sooner rather than later that was going to change, right? $70 for PS5 was there, and I'm pretty sure they wanted to do 80, but they're deciding to cut it at a
Absolutely.
loss because they just weren't sure if people were going to go ahead and go with it. Not only that, the pandemic was there, so there's a lot more uncertainty at that time where they're like, well, I don't think we can really pick and choose. So 70's that kind of that middle ground. But I'm pretty sure they wanted to do $80. Um, there is that hope that a lot of people are hoping for it to drop by at least $10. Wouldn't be the first time they did that with Nintendo 3DS. They wanted the games to be $50, but then they lowered it to $40. If you remember, Resident Evil Revelations was announced as a $50 game, and then they lowered it to $40 because they said the development just was more expensive around it. They develop it in kind of like the Wii mindset, which Wii games were $50, but then of course they changed it there, and that it makes sense. I think that game
And
pricing
James,
is what's up.
$80
Hmm.
still kind of too cheap. If you're talking about
Yeah,
like thing growth keeping up and everything, it's
yeah,
still $80 is
yeah,
still too cheap for what you're getting and how much the game development
yeah,
costs and everything. Like I'm glad that they didn't go any higher than 70 or 80,
yeah,
but like if we're talking growth going with growth and
yeah.
inflation and all that kind of stuff growing together, games probably should be at least $100 a
Hmm.
shot. But the companies are probably subsidizing a lot of that to make sure that their platforms continue to grow and people buy games and they do
Yeah.
in-app purchases and your Overwatches and your uh what do you call it, that
Your
I can't think of it,
microtransactions.
Genshin Impact,
Yeah.
Genshin Impact, and all
The
that kind of
gotchas.
stuff.
Yeah. All the
The
gosh, yeah,
gotchas,
the free to
exactly.
play games, right? Yeah. And there's a lot, especially in today's age. Like they're fighting against free to play games because the younger generation, where they come out playing Roblox, right? My kids, they play more Roblox than any other console out there, which it sucks. I try to get them off of that, but that's their thing. They like Roblox and different generation. But for what they're putting at and what we can see like with Mario Kart World and stuff like that, it is interesting. Which we'll talk about a little bit later. But there's some cool stuff that they showed in the Nintendo Treehouse Live that I really enjoyed there. Um, but one thing I do give props to Nintendo is in Japan they have a specific SKU for Japanese audience that is region locked. And of course, people are going ahead and take that out of context, like, oh, Nintendo's going back to region lock, blah blah blah. No, the Nintendo Switch is region unlocked, except for that one specific model, because that one specific model is catered to the Japanese audience because the yen is definitely way weaker than it was, when the Switch came out. Like, Japan's yen has tanked so much. So they kind of like are eating the cost with this, but they wanted to make it affordable for the Japanese audience. And of course, when you go ahead and translate how much yen that is to US dollars, it comes out to about $330. And people are upset at that. But to me, I get it, right? Nintendo is a Japanese company. Japan is very good about looking out after themselves. So I understand that aspect of it. I think it's pretty cool. But if you go with the one that's bundled with Mario Kart, that is the unlocked version. And when you translate the amount of money, it comes out to $500 as well. So there are two separate models that Japan is selling. Just one of them happens to be region locked, and that is the cheaper model. And I'm pretty sure
Oh,
that's
yeah.
so that, us Americans don't go ahead and buy that model, and then Japan can't buy, any of those models.
But you
Which
also have to have a
makes
Nintendo
sense.
account, a Japan Nintendo
True,
account
you
to buy
do
it
need a
too.
Japanese Nintendo account as well,
Yeah.
which I do have one. So, technically
I
speaking,
mean,
I
and they do
can
that.
get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't have a Japanese like credit card or address. I forgot. I did put an address. I think I did like Google search some random address and put it in there so I can get that Nintendo account. But yeah, I think like the outrage, I see it more on the games than the console itself. If you're complaining about $450 for a Switch, man, like I don't know what to say, man. You must be a type of person who just wants everything for free, and unfortunately, life is not that way. You can't get everything for free. If you want a good product, you're gonna pay, and that's just how it is, right? A Steam Deck, it being as cheap as is actually pretty amazing for it to be $400. Because I'm sure Valve wanted it to be higher, but they were afraid it wouldn't sell as much. And then now you have things like the ROG Ally X that's $800 that is, selling MSI claws. You have all these portable PCs that are around $800. So, granted,
Just looked it up.
Mhm.
In 2017 when the Switch came out, it was $299.99.
Mhm.
With inflation, that's $390.51. So nearly $400. So the Switch 2, the base model is $450. You mean to tell me there isn't $50 worth of new technology built into that thing to improve it? Get
Yeah.
real. Get a break. Give me a break. Grow up.
Yeah, exactly. 100% agree with you. Ash, any thoughts?
Okay. So for starters, I 100% agree with the Switch 2 console being 450. That's completely fine with me, but I don't really agree necessarily with the pricing of the games at all. I'm never going to see I'm never going to envision a Switch 2 game being priced at $80, mainly because it's all about how you value at the game by the end of the day as a gamer myself. And I would say that been playing a good amount of games, especially when it comes to the indie side of things, and when it comes to like the overall quality and experience that you're getting from each game, some games may be worth more than other games, based on your view of things. Like for example, mouthwashing. That's a 3-hour game, of course, and I paid $12 for it. But shit, I feel like that game is worth $60 because the amount of like meaning and a lot of things they tackled in an extremely creative way with psychological horror. I could say it's $60, but that doesn't mean it's $60. And with Marker World, I'm sorry that even though if you use an inflation calculator, despite that, there's no way in hell that game should be $80 whatsoever. I'm sorry. And the thing, and for the minimum $50, which is why they did the whole bundle with the Switch 2 in the game. I feel like that's the actual true value of the game, but instead they just want to just hike that stuff up. Listen, and the other thing too, which bothers me a lot, which like I never gave this much thought about this, but why in the heck are they going to make their tech demo $20 for the Switch 2?
I thought it was
That
10. I thought it was 9.
No,
Yeah, I
it's
thought it
supposed
was
to be
$10
10 or
too.
less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It still should have came with the console.
I
regardless.
agree.
Everyone agrees on that.
The PS5 had Astro's
Astro.
Playroom for free as a platformer. Like,
Did you
it's
hear
just-
about that story that came out about
with
how
Reggie? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What
My
story?
God.
What's
Like,
the
listen,
story?
when he's the one who suggested that Wii Sports should be included with the Wii, because Nintendo of Japan at the time did not want to do that, but he was fighting
They want
hard
to
for
charge
that.
for it.
And guess what? It worked out tremendously.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, listen, we can't get everything for free. But sometimes having things a bit cheaper and having the certain things that come with the console really pays off big time. And I can use several examples like Wii Sports. People will rave about the music from that damn game. And if you don't believe me, look up a TikTok reel, for Christ's sakes. Like I'm
we all
just saying,
agree.
yeah, because it's cheap.
It should be free.
When you have certain things cheaper and sometimes free, you give more gamers more access to your stuff. Not everything needs to be high in prices, not whatsoever. And
You know what though?
what's up?
Nintendo. Now that I think about it, Nintendo World wasn't free, was it? Nintendo.
Yeah, it wasn't free. And
Yeah.
it wasn't free. And the thing is that like it's just
Nintendo Land you talking about?
yeah, Nintendo Land wasn't free.
Nintendo Land.
No,
The Wii U
it was
thing.
free. It was free. It was free
No,
with
it
the
came
Wii
with.
Deluxe. It came
Yeah,
with
it came
Wii
with Wii U
Deluxe.
Deluxe, but that was a separate SKU you bought though too.
Yes, it was a separate SKU you bought.
Mhm.
And the thing is that things like that should be incentivized for a customer to purchase something. Like, why is this tech demo had to be $10 for this Switch? That makes no.
Yeah.
And when
I
looking
agree.
at this is like
It looks cool.
It feels like a nothing burger to me. This is literally the worst tech demo I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm not joking. I'm not kidding. Why is this $10? Listen,
It should be
$10.
free.
$10 is $10. I get it. We can all afford it. Heck, my sister can afford it with no issues. But listen, that's just pure greed right there. I'm sorry. I get it. I get the whole inflation thing, but hell no. And the other thing too, when regards to upgrades to older Switch titles, here's my stance on that. The thing is, I've never paid for an upgrade patch for any of my games because, for one thing, I never owned a PS5 for one part, and just because Sony did it before, that doesn't make it right. You shouldn't be punishing your consumers purchasing a more powerful console and then turn around and say, "Oh, you have a more powerful console? Well, guess what? Pay additional $10 on already on a performance patch that you already own."
So-
That's not great.
Something
That
I
is
do
not
gotta
good.
say about that. Something I do gotta say about that
Likewise.
is the upgrade patch. So the Nintendo Switch 2 enhanced games are different from just an updated version of said game, right? Um, there is updates. So like Scarlet and Violet, for example, they're getting a free update to up the performance. But
Yes,
that is
that's
just the
fine.
base game
And Link's
running
Awakening.
better. Link's
Yeah,
Awakening,
that's fine.
what's the other one? Echoes of Wisdom. stuff
Echoes of
like that.
Wisdom.
The Nintendo Switch 2 enhanced games, they're adding more to it. So it's better graphics fidelity.
Like
they might
Tears
have,
and
like,
Breath.
more foliage, like different textures and stuff like
More
that.
content.
Yeah, more content. So the Switch 2 enhanced games is more than just higher resolution and higher performance, right? They're not just setting a setting and going from, oh, let's switch it from 720p to 1080p and call it a day. No, they are updating textures, texture quality, adding a lot of foliage and stuff like that. That I
That and
do
the code
agree
is
with
different too.
adding it, right? Huh? What was that?
The
What'd you
code is
say?
different too. Like
Yeah.
the way a Switch 2 game is programmed is different
Mhm.
from a Switch 1 game.
Correct.
It's
Yeah.
Switch 2 is emulating Switch. It's
Yeah,
not
Switch 2 is
innately.
emulating.
Which
Right.
I'm shocked about that, honestly, on if anything. But the thing is, okay, fine. The Switch Enhanced Edition has updated textures, updated foliage, everything.
Mhm.
That should already come with for free, regardless. Now, if they're adding extra content to it,
Mhm.
like Kirby Forgotten Land, that part of the DLC, that's fine.
You got to pay
Slap-
someone to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
not
stuff costs
free.
money. It's not free.
That's like, hey, Ash, that's like me saying, hey, man, for your job, I just say, hey, can you go ahead and do this? But I'm not going to pay you for it. Like, I need you to go ahead and do this, but you're not going to get paid. Like, you're not going to do it, right?
Well,
You know this project you just worked on? Hey, we have another computer that needs, but you need to optimize it to make it work on that one.
for free.
But you need to do it off the clock.
Off the clock, yeah. You're not gonna do that. Like,
Here's the thing. Okay, so I understand what you're coming from, but at the same time, consumers are already paying almost $500 for this system, and you're going to tell around and tell them, hey, pay an extra $10 for an upgrade to an already something you already
They're
owned to
different
begin
things,
with.
though, Ash.
That's different, Ash.
How's it different? How's it different? Explain to
you're paying
that.
for the system, but you're not paying for the upgrade to the game. Like the upgrade to the game is a separate buy, right? It's like buying a house but expecting it to come with food already inside, right?
That logic. The thing is, I've already bought a lot of PC games akin to third-party titles already existed on a PS3, 360, and Xbox One, PS4, and so on and so forth. And for the most part, you're already able to get way better experience, frame rate, fidelity.
That's
different. No, you still can get updated textures and everything onto the PC version.
That's different. Those textures are already built into the game with a wide range of settings.
Correct.
Okay.
Like they're already building that as part of the game. You're asking someone to like, hey, we need you to add more stuff, make this game run better, make it run faster, more, like optimize it, but we don't want you to pay you for your time to do that.
Now, Ash, one thing I will agree with you on is you remember all those games that came out on Switch that were on Wii U, like Mario Kart or whatever.
Yeah.
The fact that Nintendo and all the games really, Xenoblade wasn't on Wii U, it was on Wii. I mean, almost every game that was on Wii U at this point is on Switch. Captain Toad, whatever, Bayonetta, whatever. The fact that I spent so much money on my Wii U buying those games digitally, that failed console, for Nintendo to re-release them on Switch, and I am expected to pay full dollar for that is crap. That is why I am okay. That is why I am okay with Nintendo releasing these enhanced versions where I'm paying between $10 to $20 to upgrade them with the better textures, the Kirby with the more content, Zelda with the app stuff and the 60 frames per second. I am thrilled to pay $10 to $20 for the work they put into it to make that the optimal version of the game. So I think that we have to kind of give credit where credit's due and be like, if Nintendo were if they're trying to pull the trick, the rabbit out of their hat again and charge a full price for Tears of the Kingdom Breath of the Wild when you own it on Switch already, I would be right behind you and have a huge problem with it. But you know what? $10 to $20 for the best version possible game, all the updates, the work that went into it, I will pay that hand over fist all day to have an optimal version of those games.
So essentially, you guys are saying that with a whole upgrade deal, which let's say $10 for example, we're essentially paying for remasters for Switch 2.
Pretty much. I mean, they're
okay.
remasters.
If we're looking at it that way, if like you said earlier, James, where we're adding actual textures, adding more foliage, graphics, that's fine by me. But if I don't see any of that, and all he did was just let you run at higher resolution and higher frame rate, and that's it, no.
That's
it takes work though to optimize that though. That's the thing. It takes work to optimize that. So I don't mind paying for it.
Nintendo Treehouse did do it like a side-by-side comparison between the two, and you can see it there. Like
the loading times for Tears of the Kingdom or whatever, incredible.
Like so crazy.
But like
it's like
beyond
a third of the time.
I'm looking beyond that because the loading time, you could just say better hardware loads faster, right? Faster CPU allows it to load faster RAM, so forth.
Grass textures.
They did
great.
grass textures. They showed the difference. They showed the difference of
frame rate.
I forgot what area it was, but you can see the ground, and there are totally different textures there. The foliage in
I think it was the
Lost Woods
Resurrection area.
Yeah, the Resurrection Shrine. Yeah, it looks a lot more like fulfilled. In the Lost Woods, there was more like flowers and more grass. And
I can now wait to play it at 60 frames per second.
Brain mechanics.
Wait to play it.
Showing puddles hitting the ground.
Like
there
was
some ray tracing stuff.
Yeah, they added ray tracing to it and stuff like that. So like, there's
fire,
a lot more.
like the fire mechanics.
That's Red Prime 4.
Yeah, that's fair. It's just I better see
that's free.
That's all I'm asking.
Like if you have Nintendo Switch Online, that's free.
Plus expansion pass.
Yeah,
plus expansion pass. Yeah, you got to pay $40 a year for it, but sure.
But I'm already paying for it, so for me, it's like basically free.
Yeah. So, I mean, in my opinion, I think it's well worth it. If it is like Ash said, like there's no differences, then I get it, right? But
Yeah, if
that's
it's like I said, if it's just hey, up the resolution, give me for better frame rate.
yeah.
That needs to be that needs to be free.
But
But
that's
for what you
what-
said,
I'll pay for
yeah.
it. I don't care. I'll pay for it.
but if is that what you said
Mhm.
based on like what you saw from the Nintendo trailers for Tears of the Kingdom, that's fair.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
But like
Not for just increased resolution and frame rate.
Yeah.
No, like that's more rate more. If you want to ask $10 from me, you need to put more into it. You
Yeah.
know, that's my point of view from it. I can't. And the thing, like, listen, this is I'm probably just coming from the PC side of things for the most part because
Mhm.
I tend to buy everything PC version, and I with the stuff I have, I can run things at a higher resolution and frame rate, and that's basically all I'm asking.
But
For.
and even
And-
then, like I would argue this, like so, like to even put that into like perspective, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, right? The PS5 version looks better than the PC version. Why? Because the PC version that it has, yes, you can do 4K, you can even do like 8K if your PC technically can do that, but the textures that are in there cap out, and they're still using the same textures that are in PS4. PS5 actually had an updated version that they added more textures, more like flowers, different ray tracing elements, stuff like that that you can't get on PC. So if you play Dragon Ball Z Kakarot on PS5, it actually looks better than the PC version. And there's a few games that had those differences that the PC version just never got that update. Um, which is why I understand that part. Like I said, the games that you're thinking of that are going to be just no differences, just higher resolution and higher frame rate are the Scarlet, Violet, Echoes of Wisdom, Link's Awakening, and so forth. Those are having updates that just patch it so that they run at higher frame rates and higher resolution. They're probably just gonna up the dynamic resolution and that they like uncap it so it can just run at whatever the Switch 2 can run at.
It makes me so excited to imagine playing Link's Awakening and Echoes of Wisdom without those frame rate issues because those games deserve to run flawlessly. They're beautiful, they're incredible games,
Hopefully
but
at
that
120.
slowdown is just awful. Just give me a solid 60 and I'll be happy.
That'd be
120
nice.
is cherry on top.
Yeah.
But oh
120
my
would be
god, just
cool.
imagine those games at 60. Oh, incredible.
One last thing I have, it was regarding to the game key cards you were talking about earlier, James.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm on the side of Bryant that if you're going to buy a game key card, just buy a digital because I don't really see the point of game key cards other than you can borrow. Like my only issue is that since it's a game key card, like there's going to be a key that's tied to that particular system where it's trying to when they're trying to use that key to authenticate to the server and download the game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worried that if once that game key card is used on one system, you can't use that on another system. That's my only concern about that. And if they ever talked about that or further explained that within their article, then great. But did they ever confirm that, hey, can you share a game key card with another person or with another machine, another Switch?
I don't know if they have confirmed that. That I
that
don't
see
know.
that in itself is already concerning as is, right? So if you can't share that at that point, you might as well just stick with digital and then just go with the route that Nintendo has for you when it comes to sharing virtual game cards and stuff. So if anything, and the other thing too is that the game key card, I hate to be honest, it's kind of be incentivizing laziness when it comes to physical releases. Because for one thing, right, I can already use two examples. Yeah, I can already use two examples. CD Projekt Red with Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition. It's coming. It's coming to the Switch too,
right?
And it's coming with everything, including the expansion, all on a 64 gigabyte cartridge, physical. And you literally can plug that. I gotta call in my language. You literally got to plug that stuff into your system, and you can play it right away. And now, of course, they're probably going to give you patches along with that too. But you can play it day one, version 1.0, no issue whatsoever. Meanwhile, we have a certain 11 gigabyte game from Square Enix that's coming out of the hell of the 3DS called Bravely Default. That is only going to be available via the keycard, which I am extremely concerned about. They need to add an option for a physical. Like, there's no reason Square Enix should be opting for a key card. Now, you can get one for a key card or whatever, and also do a physical version of that. but this kind of harms the preservation of things. I'll be the devil's advocate, for example. Let's say, for example, everyone's good. Nobody doesn't want to hack the Switch 2 because, fun fact, if you wanted to, one of the ways for you to make a copy of your digital game, or especially for the Switch, you would need to hack the Switch first, and then from there you will use some other program to essentially back up your copies of either your physical games or digital copies. Now, let's say for the Switch 2, the thing never got hacked, never bothered to hack it. Nobody wants to take away from Nintendo, so on and so forth. Now we're at the risk that Bravely Default could be lost forever if none of us actually took the effort to back up that game. That's one issue I have, right? And I had to use this as an example because I love Bravely Default. I still have the physical copy of the game on the 3DS. Perfect. I love it. Why is that same game going from physical to only digital on a superior hardware? To me, that doesn't make any sense. It's the 11 gigabyte game that needs to be on a cartridge somewhere. Like, it's crazy, right? Now, let's go back to Cyberpunk 2077. I'm pretty sure that 64 gigabyte cartridge is not cheap whatsoever. So the fact that with CD Projekt Red is already investing this much to a physical release compared to Square Enix, come on, be better.
You can blame that on Square Enix.
So reading up
That's
on
nothing to do with Nintendo
cards.
Yeah, which brings back to my original point with key cards is that it's going to incentivize laziness on physical releases.
So game key cards, they can be.
You
shared.
can't transfer them. They can be shared.
It can be
They
shared
act just like a physical.
Yep. And you don't need internet to use it. So like for the initial download, yes, and you have to open up the game once on an internet connection. After that, you don't have to do it again. So first time play, it has to be on an internet connection, but after that, you're good to go. So yeah, so you could share it, potentially sell it, like we were talking about earlier, and stuff like that, and that's confirmed through like Nintendo's Japanese website. So
now now if anything, I'm curious on how the key card can be exploited in a way, right? Because if it's true that you can share it, did they ever show you on how can you share the key card with somebody? Like you just hand them the cartridge and that's it, or
the key card, because the key is in the cart itself. So they say it's like a physical game. You cannot play the game without the key card in there.
Like the red thing we're talking about, right?
Yeah, the key card.
The actual game card.
All the cartridges are red.
The cart has a key, digital key inside it. So it's probably just like a 500 megabyte Nintendo Switch game cart. And they put the key
it's like
on
how Xbox did backwards compatibility on Xbox 360, where all the games and stuff were downloaded to the console, but in order to play it, you had to put the disc in there, and that unlocked it. Yeah,
it's simple authentication. You essentially have a private key attached to like a game card, and you're authenticated to one of their servers that has the public key. You do a TLS handshake. You trust each other. You get the file. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. It's just even play. Yeah. So is this my worry? Is like, hey, if you can just share this with other people, that's fine and stuff. If that needs to be present inside the system, perfect. That makes sense to me.
Yep.
Mile is just, again, like I said, this still does, it still threatens preservation in a way, because for one thing, right? I'm looking at like 20 years from now, let's say, Switch 2 servers or no more. You got it now. That game key, that same game key card that same game key card you have is no longer valid at that point. And let's say you thought you have the game installed on your system. You put the key card in there. You say, oh, you got to install it. Oh boy, all right, let me connect to this. No longer there, right?
That I understand.
So,
that point. Yeah.
So with that, that's what I'm worried about, and that's, like I said, with the whole devil's advocate that I have a type of deal where nobody hacked the Switch 2, because like I said, if you want to truly back up digital games, you got to hack it and back it up somewhere. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's key card is it's.
I mean, that's true for any digital game. That's true for any digital game.
Yeah, essentially if you don't hack it and don't back it up, but yeah.
No, I mean like any digital game, whether it's Switch, PS4,
PC?
PS5, PC, Xbox, any digital game, there's always that possibility it's gone.
But
Yeah,
to be
Or
fair,
remove
though,
it from the servers.
for PC, we there people are already finding ways to take out the DRM from the PC copies of those. That's
Yeah,
why I
but-
trust digital copies more on PC than to actual gaming consoles and stuff. And
It's-
to
but
go
I mean,
to
like,
go for
let's
yeah.
say I download a key to buy a game.
Yeah.
Now I have to go to that manufacturer's website or wherever. Like, it's not available on Steam, but I can get it directly from them. Like, let's just say it's like some little indie website or whatever, like
Mhm.
Ember Labs, the people that did God, what's that game? That what's it called?
describe
one?
it.
Oh,
the-
Kenna Bridge of Spirits.
Yeah, Bridge of Spirits.
Ah.
There you go.
Okay.
Because when that game was released, it wasn't on Steam. Like, you'd have to go to their website to download a code, and then you could get it on like whatever. That's when it was first released. But let's just say I have to do that again. If they're gone, I can't download. Like, I purchased a license or a key, not knowing that server was gone. Right.
Yeah.
So I just wasted my money. That's the same for any digital game. There's always that possibility that I buy this game, and there's a potential that I'm going to lose it and not be able to have it anymore
Mhm.
if it's not available for me to download. That's true for any digital content.
Yeah.
It's
one of
oh sorry,
I
go
just want
ahead.
to say one other thing before we I know we probably want to move on to another topic at some point, but I really think though that we talk realistically when it comes to how digital games work in 2025, because there was a time when digital gaming was very volatile, and you guys are right. Like I'm talking about like the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 days, with games like Scott Pilgrim versus the World, Marvel versus Capcom, those games that ended up getting pulled where you couldn't buy them anymore because of licensing issues. The landscape of digital purchases is vastly different in 2025 than it was in 2011. Companies are promoting buying things digitally so much more hardcore, where it's the vast majority of people that are buying games, it's digital. And I just really don't think we live in a reality anymore where 20 years from now you're not going to be able to download a game that you bought on your PlayStation 4. I think that every system from now on is going to be iterative. It's going to be the PlayStation 5 is going to be compatible with PlayStation 4, PlayStation 6, PlayStation 5. Like, I just don't see them making people buying these digital games, like telling people spend thousands upon thousands of dollars on these libraries just for them to pull the rug out and say, nope, you're not downloading these anymore. Now, I agree with you that when it comes to, what'd you say?
I can see it happen.
But like, even like
Wii
U, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, you can still re-download stuff. And those systems are. What are you talking about?
No, you still can. You can still re-download.
You still can.
Stuff.
You can still re-download stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
it
on
sucks.
Wii
Like
U.
the systems suck. What'd you say?
Not
on
on
Wii U.
Yeah,
You can re-download on Wii U. I just did.
You
I just did 2 months ago. You can.
Oh, never mind. You can. Yeah.
You can't buy anything new on Wii U, but you can re-download your purchases on Wii U.
It should stay that way, but at the same time, there's cost to hosting that server. That's
right.
That's the other problem.
Games on Sega. What was it? The Sega. Whatever Mega Man and Wily
Dreamcast, Saturn, 32X,
no
Genesis.
Mega Man Wily Wars. It was like Sega. Was it like Sega Channel? Right? Was that what it's called? You remember?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
never
I think the
played
Wii
Wars.
U, the PlayStation 3, and the Xbox 360 is the last generation where physical was the mainstream way to play games. Starting with Xbox One, Switch, and PlayStation 4, that's where digital became the mainstay. And so I think anything that happens to what?
I was gonna say, I don't know, like $80 micro SD express card. Kind of up there. It makes me want to do physical. Micro SD express cards are pretty crazy pricey right now because there's.
All I'm saying is, I think we need to give credit where credit's due. The digital landscape isn't what it was in 2011. It's just not. It's flat out not.
It's not. But
all I'm saying.
You can't say
nobody can predict the future,
accuracy.
but
exactly.
No,
but that's what
there's
I'm saying.
a lot
like,
more important things to worry about
than
gaming in 20 years.
Like, I may not be able to download this game anymore.
Hey, listen, I like to believe.
There's that 1% chance.
Listen, I like to believe you on that, Bryant. It's just for me, I just know like when you give so much trust into like when you put all your eggs into one basket into one thing, and all of a sudden that's gone. Now you're like, now what? right?
I
So
envy people that's the uncertainty they have in life is their ability to re-download the games they bought. Like that's the thing. Like that.
I
I
hope so
wish that
too.
my
I listen. I
that's
really hope that comes to
uncertainty. Like
fruition.
that's the worst thing.
Listen, I'm wrong by so many degrees about digital games.
Right.
I really hope. There's a lot of things I hope I'm wrong about, but let's see what happens.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So.
Right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some more stuff that wasn't on the direct, like the technical specs, right? So we kind of like browsed through it after, but we're gonna go ahead and reread the actual specs of this,
So much
right?
stuff dropped after. It's so silly. Like all the
And
stuff
it was
they
like,
left out of that conference.
yeah, it
You
was
see all the stuff I
trickling
posted? I
down.
posted like 12 things.
Yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
I think it's because like they only had an hour,
hmm
Yeah,
and
that's
they
true.
didn't want to do like a technical like dump.
They should have done like 2
Yeah,
They
hours.
just
true.
I mean,
Yep.
that's just me, but
But no, fans right though. They didn't want to have it just turn into like an old school E3 press conference. Like they just wanted to get out the most important stuff. So
yeah, I'm gonna skip over some things like the weight. Well, I guess it's like I'm gonna skip over that. Who cares about that? Screen size. So 7.9-inch wide color gamut LCD screen, which is good.
I predict an 8-inch OLED in the future. You know,
yeah, he was right.
And
And
Because they
people are
do
raving
have
about
it
that
too.
screen, by the
because
way.
it was
Ash.
what the original Switch was
James.
what 6.2
Mhm.
or 6
It
point
was
like something.
Yeah, it was like 6.2, I believe it was. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the OLED was 7 inches.
Yeah.
Like the OLED was bigger, so I can see them doing 7.9 for LCD and like we're gonna do a 8-inch OLED.
Do a 9-inch OLED. Make it like
No, you got to keep the same body style.
yeah,
They have
we can
enough
still do
of
it. 9-inch.
bezel.
We
to,
got a
like,
32-inch
8 inches.
OLED Nintendo Switch where I have to like extend my hands like this to play. It's only
People have been
designed for
raving about
tabletop
that
mode.
screen, by the way.
Yeah,
People
I've
have been
seen that.
saying that screen next to the OLED actually like it kind of looks better, which kind of blows my mind.
Yeah.
So I'm a little more bullish on that now.
Well, I mentioned that like, if they do a screen like the ROG Ally X, which doesn't have an OLED but is pretty solid,
Doesn't have
then
HDR
it was
either.
good enough. Yeah. And yeah, ROG Ally X doesn't have HDR where this does.
I can't even
So-
imagine a
Mhm.
1080p 120 hertz OLED with HDR and VRR. Like how much that's
It's been
going to cost.
incredible.
Yeah.
Like, but just
I'd
the
pay it.
cost
I'd pay
alone.
it.
You know,
I'd pay it.
the cost
Yeah.
is just I think that's like Nintendo's like we can't justify that right now just
Yeah,
because the
Steam Deck
Take
doesn't
my
have
money.
VRR, and like the
Yeah.
beauty about this. So let me continue with the specs. 1920 by 1080, HDR 10 support, and then VRR up to 120 hertz. Beauty of this, of course, is the VRR up to 120 hertz. Actually, I want to bring up
that
NVIDIA.
alone, like that alone is
big.
already better than the Steam Deck OLED. Is it even better than ROG Ally X at that point?
What the
the
Screen
ROG
is-
Ally does have VRR.
Yeah, it does have VRR at 120.
What's-
yeah,
It just doesn't have HDR.
yeah.
Doesn't have HDR.
Yeah, so like it's already competing with the ROG Ally X, which like correct me if I'm
Display,
wrong.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that. Oh yeah, I'm
Like
pretty sure
$800
that.
bucks?
Yeah, $800. Like yeah, it's crazy. Yeah,
Yep.
it's just. I'm like, is it wrong of me
Nintendo's
to compare?
ripping people off,
Yeah.
Ash.
Yeah, no, is it wrong of me to compare that to the Steam Deck OLED at this point? Because I feel like it's not fair for the Steam Deck OLED. Honestly, when it comes to hardware.
So
So 450, I still don't get why people are crying about that.
So it has a custom NVIDIA chip,
NVIDIA.
right? There was a little article that came out that explains kind of everything it has. So it is powered by DLSS. So they are using DLSS for AI upscaling, right?
To be expected.
Yeah, exactly. And it's able to hit 4K, 60 FPS. Of course, it supports dynamic range. I already mentioned AI upscaling. Has ray tracing built into it as well. So it has ray tracing cores. What else is on here? On the NVIDIA, it's 10 times more powerful than the OG Switch. So that's quite a lot. 10
Yeah,
times
a lot.
it is a lot there. Let's see. Of course, supports G-Sync. So the VRR that it's supporting is G-Sync.
Oh
which is
god,
interesting.
I love you,
Yeah,
TV.
that's cool.
I'm glad you're still there with me.
Yeah. So in handheld mode, that's only in handheld mode. On TVs, it's going to be FreeSync.
Oh, FreeSync. I mean, I
Yeah.
got both FreeSync and G-Sync on this
Yeah.
one, but damn.
Yeah, mine is
okay.
both too.
Yeah. See. That's pretty much it from their like key points from their article. Storage 256 gig UFS. I don't think did we ever find out what UFS stands for?
No, we never
Ultra-fast
bothered to
storage,
look that
maybe.
up.
Yeah.
Ultra fast storage. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
could be
I'm
similar
guessing.
to-
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It says universal flash storage.
Okay.
Oh, it's still flash door still. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
So it's just a faster version.
Faster version, yeah.
Wi-Fi 6, which is always nice. Bluetooth. It doesn't really say exactly what Bluetooth support. I would assume the latest. But who knows?
I
in
thought it said 5.0.
yeah, on here it doesn't say. It just says communication features. It just says Bluetooth.
Okay.
In TV mode, it says Nintendo Switch 2 can be connected using a wired LAN port on the dock, which we saw that there. Output via HDMI, HDMI connector in TV mode, maximum resolution 4K at 60 FPS in TV mode. Supports 120 when at 1920 by 1080 or 2560 by 1440 resolutions are selected. And then, of course, supports HDR10. There's maximum 1920 by 1080 resolution in tabletop mode and handheld mode, which of course we know that this display is 1080p, which makes sense. Supports linear PCM output 5.1 channel, output via HDMI connector in TV mode. Can have, and then of course surround sound effects. So they did mention spatial audio when you have headphones plugged in. Speakers are stereo. Built-in microphone that supports noise cancellation, echo cancellation, and auto gain control, provide a more comfortable voice chat experience. Of course, power button, volume buttons. 2 USB-C ports. We do know it says the port on the bottom is used to charge the console and connect to the Nintendo Switch 2 dock. The port on the top is used to connect accessories and or charge the console. 3.5 millimeter 4-contact stereo mini plug, which is just basically a normal audio jack there. It says, please note, Nintendo cannot guarantee functionality with all products. Game card slots, both Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch cards can be inserted. Compatible with micro SD express cards, only up to 2 terabytes. And it says micro
I
SD,
bought a 1 terabyte one yesterday.
an
One of those
express one?
Lexar one. I think it's Lexar. Yeah, I bought one of those 1
Okay.
terabyte
It's
Lexar
$200.
ones on yeah, I know. Because I have a 2 terabyte one in my Switch 1, and so I'll sell that once it comes out, and I'm sure I'll get at least $100 for it. I'm sure because it's
Yeah.
2 terabytes, and those aren't cheap. But I did buy one of those, and I'm glad I did because if you go to Amazon now, those things
not
are
there.
sold the hell out.
Yeah, it's not on there anymore.
Oh, are you talking about the Lexar one?
Yeah, the express cards, they're not on the. They're not.
Damn,
listed on
They're
the-
gone.
I
They're
should
gone.
have. I should have bought one. I should have bought one. I don't
Yeah,
know.
because they don't charge you until it ships anyways. So I just bought one.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second. We got a spam thing.
I'm sure they'll come back
Twitch.
eventually, probably when closer.
Yeah,
to
they
it.
will, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I guess in Japan right now, there's a run on them big time too. So hopefully they start building them up now that Switch 2 is announced as using that as storage.
Yeah. Let's see. Micro SD memory cards are not compatible with micro SD Express. I'm sorry. Micro SD Express can only be used to copy screenshots and video games from Nintendo Switch. Mainly saying that normal micro SD cards will only be able to use to play normal Switch games or use screenshots. You cannot use the Express cards to download any Switch 2 type games. Similar to PS5 and Xbox Series X, where if you put a normal hard drive, you can play PS4 games or Xbox One games, but you can't put PS5 games
Transfer
or
over to
correct.
you can
or
bring
you can't play
Xbox.
them there.
You can't play them off them, but you can put them on an external for storage reasons, then bring it back
Correct.
when you want to play it to the main storage. Yeah.
Accelerometer, gyroscope, and mouse sensor located on in Joy-Con 2 controllers. Brightness sensor located in console. And battery 5220 milliamp hour, approximately 2 to 6.5 hours. And it says these are rough estimates. The battery life will depend on the games you play. Charging time approximately 3 hours. Now I've seen some people hate on the battery life, and they're like, "Oh, the Switch had more battery life." Breath of the Wild only played for about, if I remember correctly, only about 2 hours on the OG Switch before it died. So that's nothing really new. It's really kind of in the same ballpark as the OG Switch, which is kind of expected, especially when you compare it to something like the Steam Deck, right? The Steam Deck is in that same ballpark, depending on the type of game you play. I remember playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I was always hitting about 2 hours before it died. And this is more powerful than the Steam Deck, assuming we can play that at a higher resolution, and hopefully higher frame rates. So that's gonna be interesting to test that out. I'm definitely gonna go ahead and talk about it once we actually get the once
I
get
think
the
they could have
Switch
done better. That's one thing I think they could have done better.
a bigger battery.
Because they're trying to go for the same thickness as the original Switch.
Yeah.
Right. I think if they just would have done like a 25% increase in thickness, which would allow for a bigger battery,
Mhm.
because it's still and it's still be held fine. I mean, freaking the Steam Deck is super thick as hell, but it's still comfortable.
You
So
know,
like, even if they did just a little bit more thickness, I think it would have been nice to have like
what's one
an
thing
increase
that's
in
kind
battery
of
life.
weird here is they mentioned the HDMI port on the dock, but they don't exactly say if it's a 2.0 port or not. And I believe in order to use
I think it
VRR,
has to be.
it has to be a 2.1 port. I mean, I'm sorry, not 2.0, 2.1
Yeah,
port.
it
For
has
it
to be
to
if
use
it's 120
VRR.
hertz on
Yeah.
1080p.
Right. Correct.
Yeah.
Like it's got to be 2.1.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, no, I think you can do 120 and 2.0 at 1080p. You just can't do 4K 120.
I don't think so.
I'm almost positive you
Maybe
can,
I,
but you
4
can't use
4K you can't.
VRR. You can't use
Okay.
VRR with a 2.0 port, if I'm not mistaken. I think you have to use 2.1. And the reason why I know you can do 120 with a 2.0 cable is because I've used it with the Steam Deck on my dock, and I've been able to do like 1080p 120, no problem. But VRR would not work with a 2.0 cable. I had to use a display port for that, or
Okay.
2.1,
I just
but
looked
the Steam
online,
Deck dock does it. Mm-hmm.
and it does say that VRR does require 2.1. So I mean
Yeah,
that alone
Yeah.
means it has to be 2.1.
yeah.
And but also too, it says HDMI 2.0 supports a maximum refresh rate of 60 hertz. So
It
I don't know.
shouldn't be. I'm almost positive it's because I know with the Steam Deck I'm able to do 120, 1080, and it worked there. But you can't do 4K. I could be wrong though, but I'm
Yeah,
positive I
maybe
set
I'm
that up
wrong.
on the
I don't know.
TV. Yeah, I'm gonna have to test it out and then record myself. But look, I'm not lying, guys. Like, here it is. Yeah, I know VRR for sure because every time I try to enable VRR, the screen would just go black. Because if something doesn't work, the screen just goes black, meaning that it's not
Right.
compatible. And every time I
Google's
enable
a friend.
VRR, it wouldn't do it. So, what's up?
HDMI 2.0 does support 1080p 120 hertz.
Yeah, see,
Okay.
I'm not
It's just the
crazy, guys. I
VRR would be the
promise
only
you, I'm
thing.
not crazy.
So, yeah. But yeah, it would have to be 2.1 for a variable refresh rate.
Yeah.
And a higher resolution with higher refresh rate too.
Yeah.
All right, that's the specs there. We are running low on time. Let's see.
Did
I feel like
everybody
we've
watch
covered.
the tree houses?
I
I
did.
did not.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did
I saw
watch
some
it.
clips, but
Yeah, same here.
I watched them all.
you-
I just
oh,
I
nice.
just skipped all the breaks.
Yeah.
I
So
let it like I started late because like they start at 10. I
Mhm.
started watching at 11, so then that way I can like skip all the breaks
Skip
because the
the
breaks are like
commercials.
10, 15 minutes.
yeah,
I was like, I can just skip past them. I can watch them all.
they showed too much Mario Kart World.
They
That
did.
was my only thing. Like, it's like every like other game was Mario Kart World, and I'm like, all right, I know this game. It looks cool. What they showed off was amazing. That whole world tour mode is really cool. Like, I really do like how that looks, the elimination and everything, and how it works, and how you seamlessly are going from stage to stage to stage, and you see how like the stage like transitions and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool.
I'm trying to justify that $80 price. That's why.
Oh yeah, of course. That's true. That's true. They are trying to, but it looks kind of neat. A lot more stuff showed off. So like there is no more vehicle customizations. You kind of have like set vehicles there.
I kind of like that, honestly.
Yeah, me too. Like it sometimes when it comes to more customization, it kind of like bothers me because it gets intimidating. You're like, oh great, now
much
I gotta really
choice.
look
I don't
into
want to
this.
worry about
Exactly.
that. Just give me my cart and send me on my way.
Exactly.
Yeah, like when people are picking their characters, like hurry up. It's like, oh, I want to pick my wheels and I want to pick my car.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm like, you're taking too long. hurry up.
Right. Who
But
cares, man?
It definitely looked good and looked very promising. They did show Kirby and the Forgotten Land, the DLC. They showed like the beginning of the DLC, which also looks really good. Looks very promising.
Game is so
I'm
good,
excited for
man.
that. Bravely Default Flying Fairy, right? The first one HD. The demo that they used was the same demo that came out originally on the 3DS, which I remember that because I
Yeah.
remember when that demo came out. They used the same
Yep, I
exact
remember that
demo
too.
area. But it looks great. Like it's HD. So just everything just looks prettier. They showed off a mini game that you have to use the mouse. That mini game has way too much
cannons.
going on in it. I mean, it
Yeah.
might be kind of fun to test it out, but like basically you're driving a ship and you have to use both Joy-Cons as mouse controls, and you're going ahead and like having to do one press like on a lever to like go fly the airship up and down, and you have to stare at the wheel, and then you have to like activate cannons, and you gotta cool down the airship because it's overheating, and there's like so many different things going on in there. You got to go ahead and shoot at the enemies or capture enemies and stuff like that. It looks kind of like a fun like mini game, but something that I'm just like, meh, like who cares? Type of deal. They
Hmm.
showed off Street Fighter 6, and Street Fighter 6 looks like how you would expect it. Looks great. I
Yeah,
don't
it was
think
good.
Yeah, I don't think there's not much to say about that. They did show Nintendo GameCube, which I thought was great because after the fact, after they showed it and they didn't mention this, there was fine print there that says that some games will support widescreen support, and they actually showed that in action. So if the game itself already had native widescreen support built into it, you just go ahead into the options menu, go ahead and toggle widescreen, and you'll get widescreen support. So they showed that with Soul Calibur 2 and F-Zero GX, allowing it to be full widescreen versus 4:3, which is neat.
And there's a
Um,
CRT filter coming too.
Yep, there's a CRT filter coming, which is pretty neat too. I'm excited to see how good that turns out. Save states
Yeah,
in
it
GameCube,
could be bad.
which is cool. Yep.
Hey man, with
You
the
know,
120 Hz screen, they have filters that basically
Mhm.
will do like black screen insertion to make it like mimic
Yeah.
even closer to a CRT.
I'm never a big fan of the CRT filters. I rather play that stuff on an actual CRT TV. I don't know. That's my thing.
You,
I
you
don't
know
know.
what's gonna get me mad
CRTs are
about?
so huge.
Hmm?
Yeah, what's gonna get
CRTs
me?
are so big though.
You're right. They're heavy, cumbersome, huge, but they're still great.
Yeah, that's true.
What's gonna get me mad is watch this, that after us doing
you
the
talk about this stuff?
Dolphin emulator of Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, watch they're gonna put this on Nintendo GameCube
That'd
Online,
be.
giving it
I
an
will.
easier experience. Man.
That would actually be funny. But the thing
Why
is,
was that
what's
remaster not good?
The remaster is not great. Yeah, it's the
No.
multiplayer. What's great about the multiplayer is like you journey together. That everybody plays the story together. In the remaster, after each dungeon, you separate, and then you have to move around on the dungeon, which means like the like little like side missions or side quests you get, and everybody gets a chance to answer them, and all that stuff that comes together. You don't get that sense of like a journey together. It was not great. I played it with my brother, and I'm like, this is kind of stupid. Like after every dungeon, we have to go back to our own worlds, go to the next dungeon, and we have to queue up, and then make sure we see each other. Yeah, it was a mess, which is why it failed. Like that was the main reason it failed. Other than that, like you guys enjoyed Crystal Chronicles, right? Like it was a very fun experience. I thought it was, I always
yeah,
liked it.
yeah. I thought it was great. I mean, the thing is, if they're going to try to implement, put that one into, the whatchamacallit, into
Nintendo
the
Switch Online.
Nintendo Switch Online, they'll need to find a way to on how to emulate the Game Boy portion for that.
Mhm. Yeah,
If anything.
They did. They actually on the treehouse they showed 4 swords.
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Well,
Okay.
that was four
Yeah.
swords for GBA.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
never
that
mind.
was
I'm
not
sorry.
that was not the that
Yeah,
one.
I mean,
yeah.
if they could, they were doing that so they could show off the chat feature.
Yeah. But I think they can do the Game Boy
Yeah,
portion because, like, looking how the chat feature works, right, where you can see all of the
yeah.
individual screens. Technically speaking, you could do the Game Boy portion like that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I can see that working, but
It's very
it's one of
doable.
those things we'll have to wait and see what they do with that. But they did show like it being up res, so I don't think they confirmed the resolution. They just said that it will be upscaled, so I'm assuming that few games will be upscaled to 4K 60 if it's stocked, and then of course 1080p, or 4K, and then whatever the
I
native
think
frame
1080
rate
is probably
is.
the max. Is probably
You
what
think
it'll be.
1080?
Yeah,
Because
Hmm.
like
because
4K would
GameCube
be
was
nice.
basically 480p.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, doing 1080 I think is more than reasonable as an
Yeah,
upscale.
I mean, true.
Yeah.
Like I agree with that. Like I don't mind that, but it'd be nice to see something in 4K. I do know there's scaling issues.
I mean, how much sharper is it going to be with polygons?
Who knows?
Upscale from
I do know
4K to
like
4K.
4K breaks things. Like Radiant Dawn, for example, if you play the game in 4K through like Dolphin Emulator, it breaks like the UI and everything. Like things like kind of stretched out and they're out of whack. So like the highest you
Yeah.
can go with that game is 1080p without it breaking the game
Essentially,
itself.
Hmm.
But yeah, they showed that off. They showed some Mario Party Jamboree with the camera feature, and like the new stuff there. They showed Dragon Drive, which is the like the wheelchair Rocket League game. They showed the Welcome Tour, Metro Prime 4, which looks amazing. Right? I saw the gameplay of Metro Prime 4. I was like, yeah, I can't wait for this. This is gonna be amazing. And then of course Donkey Kong Bonanza, they showed that off as
That
well.
looks great.
I think that's
The game looked good.
everything. Oh, like I mentioned earlier, they showed off Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. They had like a video. They did a side by side comparison showing it off as well, which was really cool. Like, yeah, I think everything about this, the Treehouse event. I always like the Treehouse events because they really do a deep dive and they show you a lot more than these trailers can show. And yeah, I liked it. I enjoyed it. I highly
Low key
recommend watching it.
Bonanza looks fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you gave me that game on paper, I'd be like, maybe, but like watching video, that looks
Yeah.
like a cool game. It does.
It reminds me of just like classic Rare. Like looking at it, I'm like, wow, this has like
Yeah.
Banjo Kazooie and like those type of elements to it. And it's
Platformers, yeah.
the first 3D Donkey Kong game since Donkey Kong 64. So it's like it's nice to see that they're giving it another chance. And yeah, I think it's gonna be great. Honestly, great game for sure. What else do we got to talk about?
Oh, the tariff thing.
Kind of already went
Yeah,
through it so much.
we kind of went through it a little bit.
Okay. I will explain my side of things. So I feel like once the pre-orders hit, there's not really gonna be any increased prices of the tariffs. I think what's actually gonna happen is that they're gonna keep the prices of the Switch 2s, but
and just eat it.
Yes,
and Nintendo's gonna eat it.
Yeah, and yes and no. I feel like that they're gonna send way less Switch 2s over to the US compared to other countries, I feel. So
reduce stock to alleviate the cost of tariffs.
Yeah.
What do you think? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I think. I really think they're going to keep the prices the same, but expect stock to be way lower when you're trying to get one for pre-order. So, yeah.
I mean, like I mentioned earlier, like the hope is that something gets figured out and this doesn't happen. Again, not to get political on the podcast, but like in Trump's
They could
first
waive
term, they had
some
like
things.
waves for certain things. Like certain things were waived, like certain electronics were waived and stuff like that, which is why we didn't feel like the effects of tariffs to that extent on certain things. But there's a hope that stuff like that gets waived, but we have to wait and see.
If it doesn't, if I were Nintendo, I would just try to just keep the price the same, but send less Switch 2s over to US, if anything, because there's already bad discourse around the pricing of the hardware itself to begin with. So,
but
I don't know.
It would depend, like if tariff is applied per unit or per shipment.
Yeah, most likely per shipment. I feel because that makes more sense, honestly.
Because if it's per shipment, then you would think like, okay, if I can send one giant pallet, I get one tariff hit on that whole pallet.
Yeah.
Versus trying to send,
multiple
pallets. So your reduced size in the stock would make sense. It's just they should try and maximize that stock as much as possible.
Yeah,
for that one hit.
Essentially, they already put on their the website saying, hey, listen, it's going to cost you $450, bro. I mean, if you want Mario Kart World with it, $500. They said
here's
that.
Here's what they do. So, they partner with Apple to figure out how to redesign their boxes to save up more space during shipping.
You're right.
They're gonna get one of those bags.
How do we make the boxes even smaller
to, like,
so we can ship more?
And it's gonna just squish down the switch, and then it'll inflate after you open it up. That's what's gonna happen. They've designed a new type of technology to inflate. So, no, I mean,
the Switch will come shipped with the Switch in the dock to save as much space as possible in the boxes.
Honestly, I don't mind that.
You'll have to assemble it yourself. Like, it'll just come in.
I mean, you get a soldering iron, and then you have to put the GPU in and all that stuff.
Exactly. I got a soldering iron in my closet. I know you guys are around, but yeah. But if anything, other two side notes too is I've seen some people complaining a lot about the NVMe not being present on the Switch 2. And I have to say that, bro, do you guys know how hot NVMEs get? Those things are hot. There's a reason why the Switch, there's a reason why the Steam Deck or the ROG Ally or any of the PC handhelds are that thick to begin with, because they're trying to compensate for the cooling of the NVMe for the most part. Yeah. Those things are hot.
I mean,
so
the thing is, needs the heatsink on the NVMe drives when you add it.
Yeah, exactly. And with that, like, don't forget that. Man, actually, no, never mind. Don't forget about it because I just lost my train of thought. But I'm just saying, yeah, okay, now remember. Yeah, remember Nintendo literally has to, they want to try to stick with this almost a similar design, and that's the best way for them to do that.
Mhm.
If you try to stick an NVMe in there, that thing's going to melt. That's all I got to say about it. So, yeah.
One thing to mention that they showed off the Treehouse Direct that I forgot to say, they showed off the amiibos of Luke, Jamie, and Kimberly, which I think look pretty awesome. I had the Ken amiibo. Excuse me. I have the Ken amiibo. But looking at them, they look cool. And not only that, the amiibo like symbol platform that they stand on are all different colors, which is I think the first in any amiibo outside of the Mario amiibos that had like the red at the bottom. But like they look awesome. Like I'm looking at it right now, and I was like, man, like I would like to get that. Like Luke's is blue, Kimberly's is like red, and Jamie's is I think Jamie's looks like his standard color there.
Yeah, they also came with the cards,
Oh yeah, that's right. They had the amiibo
like
cards
the
too.
NFC cards, like
Yeah.
the amiibo cards too, like with the amiibo. So like that's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. They allow you to do that. Yeah, I think that is everything. Am I missing anything that was announced that was talked about?
Probably not. I think we covered
think we
everything
touched
for the most
everything.
part. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, let me see in Discord of everything that was announced. Maybe we forgot something.
I was posting like a fiend after that. I thought we talked about everything. Nope. So much
Yeah.
more dropped.
Yeah, because you posted the Nvidia thing. I think that's what that is.
yeah, I
right?
saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we can't really talk about pre-orders anymore. Yeah, that's really it.
Nope.
I guess like one last thing that people are pointing out is that it looks like that Nintendo accidentally confirmed Yoshi's Woolly World, which I mentioned it earlier in the
Like an
podcast
enhancement?
today. Yeah, because when they were showing off a bunch of like Switch games, one of the art that they use is actually Yoshi's Woolly World and not Yoshi's Crafted World. And I thought it was Crafted World at first, but then sure enough, it's the box art to Yoshi's Woolly World. And Yoshi's
Oh, it's
Woolly
Woolly
World.
World. Oh, I thought it was
Mhm.
Crafted World.
Yeah, not Crafted
So-
World, Woolly World, which is not
so-
available on Nintendo Switch. So either they
Nope.
made a mistake and put the wrong game box art there, or they accidentally leaked that Yoshi's Woolly World is coming to Switch, which the game was originally on Wii U, but then ported over to 3DS, and then now maybe ported
Died
over
on
to Switch.
3DS.
And I mean, honestly, Woolly World was a pretty decent game. The
Good game.
soundtrack is amazing.
Mhm.
Like, I love the soundtrack. I've used a lot of the songs from there on my on my videos, and then I actually play it on my Steam Deck from time to time because I like the game. It's a really good game.
two
Really enjoyed it.
two things that this first came to mind.
Mhm.
One, I had a friend of mine that loves to crochet and everything,
Mhm.
and I told her as a joke, you should get Yoshi's Woolly World on the Switch. I didn't know Yoshi's Woolly World was only on the Wii U and 3DS, so
Yeah.
oopsie for me for that one. Secondly, somebody's gonna get fired for that. So
If it's
I can smell it. I
leak or
can smell it.
mistake. Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see if that gets announced sooner rather than later. But yeah, I think
I don't know if you guys can see.
Mhm.
Behind me in my glass case, I have the Mega Yoshi Woolly,
the giant one.
Mega Yoshi amiibo.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just see that. Yeah,
Is that
that
I
was-
got
second to
so
the bottom
lucky when I
shelf?
got that. What'd you say?
Is that the second to the bottom shelf?
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. Yeah, it's facing. It's yeah. I remember I went to Toys R Us early and like it was like a lottery or whatever, and I got it, and I was so happy because those things. That's
Toys
like one
R
of the
Us.
most worthwhile amiibo because it was so rare. It was like one
Yeah.
run and that was it.
Yeah, I like amiibos. I still think they're still some of the best collectibles in terms of like statues and like
They look
what
great.
they look like. Yeah, they look amazing for what they are, and for them being $12 and now they're like $15, but that's still a pretty decent price point.
The Toys to Life thing is whatever. It's just the collectible aspect.
Exactly. Yeah, and it was cool for like Tears of the Kingdom Breath of the Wild to get like the Fierce Deity
Items. Yeah.
items and stuff like that. Yeah, it was cool for that stuff. But outside of that, it's just like it's a good collectible, which I got to set up again
Yep.
because I need my wall to be set up. Or
The wall is
something.
bare.
It is bare. No RGB, no anything. Like I need something. I do got my Luffy hat. You can see that in the background, though.
Like,
Easter egg
where'd you
there.
get the Luffy hat?
On Amazon. They had it on.
Oh,
there.
of course.
Yeah. So
Good quality.
yeah, it's actually pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, I've worn it before, like a couple times, and I just hang it on my my neck here, kind of like Luffy does. So
Makes sense.
Luffy's the man. Love Luffy. Yeah. So I guess that's it. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully we get an update on pre-orders soon, and we'll be able to pre-order. And the price stays at $450/500 for the Nintendo Switch 2. I think regardless. Well, I won't say regardless because like if it's over, I don't know. I don't even want to throw out a price point to give like people to give them any type of reason to make it higher for no reason. But like there is a certain dollar amount that I will not go over, or maybe not. I don't know because like I bought a ROG Ally X that's $800. So it's like
Yeah, there probably isn't for
I
me.
didn't even know I didn't even know it was even that high in the first place.
Yeah.
That's oof, that's high.
And it's Nintendo. Like I love their first party. They have a great first party
There's a
lineup.
tax for Nintendo.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I wouldn't mind if they did it. I hope not. Like I hope $500 is what I'm getting with the console and Mario Kart World. But if it happens to go up, I more than likely will still buy it regardless of the tariff. And hey, for everybody complaining about the Nintendo Switch 2 and pricing and all that other stuff already, and you're not willing to buy it, awesome, because that means a higher chance of me
More
getting
for
one
me.
day one. Yeah. So I don't have to worry about having to fight more people. So just keep hating on the Switch.
But those
2.
people are gonna buy. Those people are gonna buy one anyways, though. You know that they're complaining, but they're still
Yeah.
gonna buy it.
Of
If
course.
anything, you just got to be more worried about the scalpers for the most part,
Yeah,
But
this-
I feel like at that point, I feel like you have a better chance on buying one straight from the Nintendo store since they have the whole thing with the whole Nintendo membership or something like that. So
yeah,
And the hours you've played and stuff.
maybe
Yeah.
do that for your highest chances. Maybe I'm not too sure.
I'm gonna get wherever I can.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I know Best Buy lets total members get like first dibs for
Nice,
some
I'm
stuff,
Total.
So
I
I
might
do.
have to.
So
I might have to buy Total just for that, just to get first dibs on that, and that would definitely make the Switch turn out to be $700.
That's a big investment.
yeah, dude, that's
Yep.
$180, man.
But hey, at least you get free installation and 60-day return policy.
Yeah,
Only at
true,
Best
true.
Buy.
If they pull out that deal where I remember when Total first came out, they have what buy one get one on Switch games or buy two get one or whatever it was on Switch games.
Yeah.
If they do something like that, that'd be nice. I think right now too, don't they got that sale for Total members that you get a $20 gift card or something?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
you
think
get
it includes
$20
Switch 2.
For $150, I think spent. You get
Yeah,
$20
every
or
$150
something.
bucks you spend, you get $20.
Yeah.
You can get up to $100 max.
Do you guys remember Gamers Club Unlocked? Oh my
Oh
god!
yeah.
you might have
yeah.
had
Don't
that
remind me
thing.
that. Don't remind me that.
Oh,
man.
my
Man, I
God.
was so upset. I
Man.
was gonna buy another one to renew it. I remember because my time was like coming up. And I was like, oh, let me buy it. And I was like, you know what? Never mind. And then like a week later, they announced it right away. Like throw away all Gamers Club Unlocked cards. We won't be doing Gamers Club Unlocked anymore. I was like, come on, this was like the best.
That's
thing
back when I was
ever.
buying physical games when I had that.
I mean, for the incentives, like yeah, because you can get those games
Yeah.
cheaper than digital. So like you're saving
Right.
25%. Like why not? That was an
Yeah.
amazing way to get games. Like I always got
100% worth it.
physical. Yeah, it was well worth it, and to not have that anymore. Rest in peace.
Would you
Gamers Club Unlocked.
would you think they were losing too much money on that program?
Probably? Oh,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because you don't make a profit on games anyways. It's like $7 for a full price game. That's how much a reseller gets. So if you do Gamers Club Unlocked, you're throwing your profit in the
Well,
toilet and paying some probably.
it's like $12. I think a reseller gets, if I'm not mistaken. Because like,
Well,
know,
between 7 and 12, whatever.
Yeah.
But still, the Gamers Club Unlocked, I mean, that's a good 10, 12 bucks right off the top. You're
Yeah.
giving it away. You're housing that stuff for free.
yeah. No, yeah, Gamers Club Unlocked was a little bit more because I remember the Best Buy discount was less than Gamers Club Unlocked. So you did save more, and Best Buy's discount is, I think it's just at cost now. It used to be at cost plus 5%, but it might be just at cost now.
It
I don't
depends on the
remember.
products.
Yeah.
It depends on the products.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right, but that's all that we have for today's podcast. Thanks everybody for joining. As always, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Follow over on Twitch. We will continue to be on the lookout for Nintendo Switch 2 news. Join us on Thursday for our split fiction. I was about to say split fiction stream. We'll finally be going through that. That was something that we were gonna do originally, like back in March, but because of my moving situation and everything, like I had to take a break because my
Thursday or
mindset was
Friday?
not there. Thursday. I'm
Okay.
sorry, Friday. I'm sorry, Thursday we'll be back. So podcast starts Thursday. From here on out, we'll be doing the podcast for Thursday for right now. And then Friday will be the group stream with Bryant. And then I'm looking to stream Monday or Tuesday. I don't know what date to pick yet. So I won't really have a date yet. Yeah, and I might not even do a solo stream this week because you can see I still got a mess behind me. I got to work on that stuff. There's still a lot of stuff that I have to unpack. Yeah, so eventually I'll do a solo stream, hopefully for next week. But this week, what we promise is the podcast on Thursday, our split fiction stream on Friday, which will be our group stream with me and Bryant, and then we'll continue from there. Maybe not a video. I might do another like video just on the Nintendo Switch 2 and kind of cover stuff there, but not promising anything because again, I still got a lot of stuff I gotta work on inside the house before I can go 100% back into doing this, and hopefully I don't have to move within a year. I don't want to move for a while.
Yeah, it's a pain.
Yes, exactly, a big pain. But yeah, anyways, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Fan, where can I catch you at?
You can catch me at Phaneckswhy and at all the socials.
What about you, Bryant?
At Red So Deep on Blue Sky.
You know what's disappointing about your shirt is I don't see bass on there.
I have another shirt with bass. Maybe I'll wear it next week.
Okay, yes, because bass is the man. Yeah, but still, Mega Man
I know how
Proto
you feel
Man's
about
there.
him.
Yeah, I love Proto Man's intro theme, the whistle. I always do that. I whistle it throughout the house. Yeah, hey, Proto Man's whistle theme is so cool that my kids know the whistle. Like, every time I whistle it, they know that it's the Proto Man theme. That's how cool.
You know
Proto
what?
Man
In
is.
3, it always scared me when when that happened because like the stages that Proto Man isn't in 3. I think it's Shadow Man and Hard Man. I think those are the two, and Gemini Man. Those are the stages that Proto Man isn't in 3. And like, if you don't know how to slide, he beats the crap out of you. And when I was a kid, I didn't really get the slide mechanic, and so when I'd hear that whistle, like I'd get some sweats and stuff. So now, no problem. Proto Man's pretty easy, but yeah, that whistle is very iconic.
It's kind of like what was it? Was it SAX from Metroid Prime or Metroid Fusion?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when he or she would pop out, or it would pop out because it's an alien. It's just what were they called? What did you just call X, right? The
X Parasite.
yeah, X Parasite. Yeah, when it would just pop up out of there. I remember my brother was scared every time SAX would appear. He's like, here, take this. Like, try to get me out of this area. Yeah, they were. Dread was also good with doing that with the Emmys.
Yes.
I gotta play Dread and see what you mean, because I feel like with that particular game,
You haven't
I don't
played
know.
Dread yet,
I haven't played Dread, but I haven't played Dread, but I've seen
Dread's
videos of
very
Dread.
good.
I hope it has a similar scare factor to Fusion, because with Fusion,
oh, you hear those Emmys? Run.
with the Fusion, it had a limited sound design, and with that, they took advantage of that to make it even more scarier, especially with headphones. With Fusion, so I hope they were able to improve from that with Dread or something like that.
So I hope Dread gets an update. I hope Dread gets an update when the Switch 2 and they add the spatial
Up the
audio
resolution.
with the Emmys.
Yeah.
Oh no, just the spatial audio with
That
the
too.
Emmys.
Yeah, because the Emmys it is scary. Once you get into a room where there's Emmys, like, or you go through a door and you're like, oh shoot, this is an Emmy room.
This thing's gonna wreck me.
Yeah. You got to play Dread, man. That's your homework. Before the Switch 2 comes out, you
It's
need to
very
play
good.
Dread, man. It is.
I want to play.
game.
I want to play Dread on the Switch 2. Actually, if anything, I mean, were there any benefit running that on the Switch 2 at this point? I mean, it's a side-scrolling shooter. I mean, I don't know.
Well, like
unless
Fan
they
said,
up the
maybe the
resolution
audio or
and-
upload resolution. Yeah,
But the game looks fine on Switch 1, right?
Yeah.
yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's perfectly
and
fine.
it runs 60 on TV.
I think so.
I think so.
I
mean, I didn't have any hiccups when I streamed it.
I don't remember if it's 60 or 30.
I don't think it's 30. Maybe I never had a problem with how it ran though. I had no problems.
Yeah.
Okay.
It might be 60 because let me see. Metroid Dread.
I think it's 60.
Yeah, if it's like 1080 60, then I can just buy on the Switch and play off of that.
Surprised that's not Googleable easily.
I just assumed the game ran at 60. Yeah, I just assumed the game ran at 60 because if they're going to try to like reach a similar frame rate like they did with Fusion, then it would make sense, I guess.
Yeah, it looks like it does run at 60. Yeah, it says Metroid Dread runs at 60. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Where can they find you, Ash?
Yeah.
What happened?
Where can they find you?
Where can they find you?
Oh, at Ash Destroy on YouTube.
We got sidetracked on Mega Man talk, which will always happen.
Yeah.
I
They can find you
look,
playing Metroid Dread soon. That's what you had to say.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, I might start that game soon. Maybe not. Maybe probably because the game is shorter compared to other games I'm playing. So
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it's like, what, 3 hours?
It's not as short as mouthwashing.
I know, yeah, you can beat that game in one sitting. It's so funny, but like I'm just appreciating short games a lot because I'm like actually beating games.
Maybe next week.
Would you say, Bryant?
I said maybe I still would like to talk to you about mouthwashing. Maybe next week we can do a what you've been playing segment. We can talk about that
We'll
more.
probably
Yeah.
We could definitely.
I can tell you this. I can tell you this much. After going through the game for the second time and then looking at people's like thoughts on it, now it makes me really freaking depressed. And I'm like, but yeah, that's all.
Yeah,
that's all.
Yeah, cool. And as always, you can find me here at the Random Encounter, where we do live streaming, right? Podcast every Thursday for now. And then Friday we'll have the group stream, and then of course try to get a solo stream sometime during the week, and then a video once a week very soon. Thanks for watching. Thank you, fam. Thank you, Bryant. Thank you, Ash. We will catch you guys next time.